Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking about Modern Horizons 2 spoilers. That's right, going to be going over the stuff that we've seen so far. So stuff from last week, stuff from this week, just previewed today. See exactly what's going on, what cards are being added, what new cards are being made, all this kind of good stuff. And because I like Modern Horizons 2 so much, I believe we'll probably start doing these pretty frequently for this spoiler season, which I think is like what, a week, 2 weeks, something like that, week and a half. Not really sure. I didn't really pay attention, but yeah, we'll definitely be looking at these cards. It's going to be sweet. Lots of cool stuff going on here. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, first and foremost, we finally have my good friend Counterspell in Modern. This is great. This is basically a super duper mega upgrade to all the existing counter magic. Obviously, Mana Leak is still has a little bit of value, still playable. Logic Knot has always been garbage. I mean, really bad. What a piece of shit. Uh, but we're glad it's gone. We can just play Counterspell, and this is great. Of course, some stuff like Remand has different purposes. It's more like a tempo counter, right? Something like Memory Lapse, in some respects, serve the same purpose. So yeah, there's still reasons to play stuff like, for example, Spell Snare. Spell Snare gets a lot better because you're going to be seeing a lot more counter spells, mostly just in control decks, but as a way to counter those. And of course, if any powerful 2-drops get printed or spoiled or whatever, very good there. But yeah, it doesn't homogenize as much as people fear, right? Because typically decks with counter spells want to play more than 4 counter spells, right? They'll play like maybe up to 10 or something, depending, especially if it's like Archmage's Charm or Cryptic Command, which have other purposes, you know. But yeah, I'm glad it's good. We don't have to play really inferior bad cards, so that's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. But yeah, we don't have to worry about control decks taking over. I mean, I don't particularly see that happening, even if like control is like the best deck in the format. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to attack them already present in the format. So shifting it towards like a slower deck, that's the top deck, I think is actually even preferable or even better. Um, but anyways, Sanctum Prelate. This card is from Legacy. It was printed in, I think it was Conspiracy 2. This thing is very powerful. You can also see it has the old border treatment. It's the buy a box promo. There'll be other cards with old border treatments, including the next two we'll talk about, which is great, including 40 cards from Modern Horizons 1 that will also have the old border treatment. They really want to sell the heck out of this set. It's gonna be crazy. But Sanctum Prelate, pretty sweet card, very powerful. This thing is like kicking the pants against stuff like Prowess. I mean, just brutal against them, since they're basically all just mono 1-drops and their creatures are terrible without actually being able to chain off cantrips or cheap spells. So yeah, very good there. Very good in a lot of places. I mean, just think about the like turn 1 Giver, turn 2 Thalia, turn 3 Sanctum Prelate. I mean, this is just brutal, right? Going to be played in Death and Taxes, going to be played in Humans, absolutely, slam dunk, great card. Can't go wrong with this. I'm a big fan. I like it a lot. So, not much more to say about it. It's got beautiful new art, which is wonderful. So yeah, good stuff there. Now we have Diamond Lion. This card's pretty sweet. Obviously, it's just a riff on Lion's Eye Diamond, right? Just a grizzly bear with the LED text stapled onto it. Not really going to see a ton of play, I imagine, although they did say that there was going to be a bunch of madness cards in this set. So this could be actually a heck of a lot better than it looks, right? So this could be really strong. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say though, without seeing like the other madness cards, because madness you need to push the power level pretty high. You really need to support it. But if the draft archetype is going to be built around that keyword, I mean, then they're obviously making it good. So we'll see. Actually having an actual Madness deck, which I think they said was going to be in red-black, should be sweet. Should be pretty strong. So that will obviously affect how good Diamond Lion is. But outside of something else getting printed, I don't really foresee it seeing a ton of play. But we'll have to see. Keep an eye on it. It's a very powerful effect. Brainstone, of course, is just a brainstorm on a stone. Pretty sweet card. Obviously very good at setting up miracles. And I think people are underestimating the 1 cost and then 2 to activate, since you can split it up and play it in instant speed too. So that's, you can use your first turn island, Brainstone or whatever, and then pop it whenever you need to, and put stuff on top of your library, shuffle stuff away with fetch lands, get those miracles set up. You really needed another miracle enabler other than Jace to really make the deck work, right? And I think Brainstone is quite good, pretty strong. And of course, it has all sorts of other artifact synergies, like with Urza and some sort of revived affinity list. Obviously, you can replay it with Lurrus, so this is quite good. But yeah, so interesting stuff. But let's get on to the new previews. Oh no, wait, actually, I think we have one more. That's right. I can't believe I almost forgot about Urza's Saga. Yeah, this thing is nutty. This is like the best card I think has been previewed so far by a lot. This thing is really powerful. So it's, again, you get the Saga and the enchantment land and this whole thing, and its type line is Urza Saga and its name is Urza Saga. Right. That's nice. But let's get to the actual part of the card. I like the flavor, but so it comes in play first chapter, just turns it into a land, right? Tap for a colorless. Second chapter, really getting good stuff here. You can create a construct, or I should say a Karnstruct, or maybe Urza Struct, right? Because since Urza made Karn and the Urza card makes a construct. Anyways, so it's the 0/0 that gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, and of course it is an artifact itself. And then the third chapter, you search your library for an artifact card with mana cost 0 or 1 exactly, so no chalices or lotus plumes, and then put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. This, of course, is very, very strong too. You get all sorts of stuff like Tormod's Crypts, Relic of Progenitus, things like that, Pithing Needle, Welding Jars, stuff like Lantern of Insight, all sorts of things. I mean, in Vintage, you can get stuff like Black Lotus, Soul Ring, Mana Vault. I mean, you can you get the keys, right? The keys are good for untapping Time Vault, which is a decent combo, right? So yeah, but the other nice thing is, because of the way that the triggers work, you can actually activate the second ability twice. So like on your upkeep, you can activate it again, and then you draw, add the card, you sack it, and then you get the 0 or 1 artifact. So yeah, I mean, this thing is nuts. This is really, really good, really good. And of course, the artifact decks needed a huge push really to really start being very good, because they're more or less nowhere to be seen. A lot of the hates just like insanely powerful stuff like Collector Oof, or things like Force of Vigor. Force of Vigor, of course, is good against this, although it is like a 2-for-1. But yeah, this is pretty strong. This is a pretty strong card. Yeah, this thing's gonna go all over the place in a bunch of different decks. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. This thing is nuts. I can't wait, because I think they did say that today that I think Affinity was going to be one of the draft archetypes, as well as like Modular too, and some of the stuff. So I'm like, all right. We'll see what's going on there, but yeah. So let's go ahead. Let's get into the new cards now. Finally. Okay. So starting off strong, we have Grief. This card is sweet. So it's basically an unmask. So because you can evoke it, so you play it and then you sack it. And you have to evoke it by exiling a black card. There's a whole cycle of these, and it has Menace, so it's 4-mana 3/2 Menace, so it's a decent attacker. So you can cast this card, basically unmask them, and you can do it for free, right, with the evoke cost, or you can just cast it fairly, 4 mana, 3/2. Pretty interesting, although you can really go nuts with stuff like Ephemerate, create really powerful openings, although I think it's going to be a little bit worse than people think, just because you obviously need to have the Ephemerate there, otherwise it's still just an unmask. And of course, like, a 3/2 is not bad, but it's not a scary card, right? Like, I mean, you can't really stop them from developing, right? Because they can still play lands and play cards off the top of their deck, or whatever else is in their hand, so like, it seems pretty strong, but again, you're also losing a ton of cards. I mean, sort of like how the old like Rit Mind Twist, it's like, okay, but you played, you're down 3 and they're down 4. It's like, okay, that's good, but it's not as powerful as it would seem. Obviously, in Legacy, this isn't very scary, but it is should be pretty strong in Modern, I think. So it's a cycle, so I'm pretty excited to see what's gonna happen with the rest of them. But definitely a really powerful card, very powerful card, something to keep our eye on. Thrasta Tempest Roar, I guess the red-green deck is a Storm deck. This thing doesn't have the Storm text, but it, costs less to cast for each spell you cast this turn. So it's kind of like a Galta, but does stuff with Storm. I don't know. Trample Haste, trample over Planeswalkers. Alright, interesting text. Of course, it's a dinosaur, a Storm dinosaur. This thing is huge, I don't know. And it even always has a guaranteed swing, because it has hexproof as long as it entered the battlefield this turn. Very cool, very cool. I like it a lot. This is a cool card. You could play it in Zakama. Probably not going to play it in Gishath, even though it's like really cool. It doesn't really do that much, but it is sweet. I do like it. I do like it. I think it's pretty neat, pretty interesting. Okay, and very happily, we get Cabal Coffers. So this is mostly, it's just being reprinted, which is good, which will drop the price by a significant amount. So thankfully it is being reprinted, very wonderful. But there is a small chance the card actually could see play. Of course, we have Urborg in the format. There are cards like Defile from the previous Modern Horizons, which is a 1 black instant. Target creature gets -1/-1 for each swamp you control. That's very strong. That's pretty strong. Of course, we also have, I guess you could play Grief in this this hypothetical deck too. There's obviously tons of really powerful removal, like Fatal Push, of course, Damnation, Mutilate Itself, Nantuko Shades in the format, I guess if you're really looking for a huge outlet for all your mana, I mean, that's pretty sweet. That's a blast from the past. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could, is Corrupt legal? Yeah, Corrupt was like in Zendikar or something, I think. But Tendrils of Corruption is a little bit better because like the deck is slow, so getting all that life back is pretty strong. And there's tons of, you can play like Lilianas. I mean, there's a lot of different directions you can go. It should create like another, it's probably only like a tier 3 thing, depending on how things work out, because like, if you're playing mono black control, you're kind of priced into playing a certain way and having certain matchups that you may or may not be good in, right? If you're just playing a pile of removal to deal with like creature decks to buy you enough time to do your thing, this is not going to be good against like the creature light or creature less decks. Or if you're playing just more discard, you're going to have problems with decks that are good top decking and playing onto the board and stuff like that. So there's some interesting tension there, but just glad Coffers is back. It's one I've wanted in Modern just forever, just because it'd just be kind of neat. And of course we have Dakkan Shadow Slayer. I don't know about this card. I don't think it's going to be that great. It's not terrible, but it doesn't really produce a lot of card advantage, but it is kind of interesting. I mean, I think I pretty much just want Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, or Jace over it most of the time. But when I think about playing this card in Commander, that's pretty sweet. Because I'm thinking like playing it out and then like exiling a thing or whatever, and then like bouncing it back to my hand, and then like getting a bunch of lands in play and playing it again, I guess. And then like immediately ultimating it and then getting like an artifact from my graveyard into play or something neat like that. That seems kind of cool. And it has beautiful Richard Kane Ferguson art. You can't go wrong there. But from what I've seen, I'm not certain this is going to be a player. All right, we have Timeless Dragon, which of course, this, as you can tell, is a playoff Eternal Dragon from Scourge. Pretty interesting card. Could see a little bit of play. It's basically, I guess it's like a 2-for-1 kind of. But yeah, being able to plane cycle to get your triomes, your hollowed fountains or whatever, that could be neat. Or you can just play it, and then if you kill it or they kill it, then you can eternalize it, and that's pretty cool too. So I'm not expecting much from this card. I think it'll show up maybe a little bit just because the plane cycling is pretty neat. It's kind of a split card, right? So you always get your land, or you can have a big dragon. Rishadan Dakkan. Now this card is incredible. You guys probably don't know why. Let me tell you. First, obvious reference to Rishadan Port, right? Look at that text box. 1 colorless, tap, target land. This is great. This is really powerful. Again, Rishadan Port is wonderful. Again, it's 1 mana, 1/2. Why is that good? Because there's all sorts of stupid bullshit. No Plague Engineer, no Lava Dart, no Ren and 6, no Blazing Volleys or whatever else crap. It's not going to kill it. This is good. It has Island Walk. So this thing is island walking all over the place. Very sweet. It's got good flavor text. I mean, this card is a hit. Of course, it's a Merfolk. This is exactly what the Merfolk deck wants. Why? Because it needed good 1-drops. I mean, I guess there's like Curse Catcher, Benthic something or other that's just kind of meh. This thing really can lean into more of the mana denial aspect, along with cards like Spreading Seas or Seas Claim or something. Pretty strong. This is pretty strong. So this is very good. Very powerful card. I'm liking it a lot. I think this is a shoe-in for modern Merfolk. I'm not 100% sure about the Legacy version. I just don't really like the Legacy version of the deck, but this is a good start. Again, need more Merfolk that can do things that are interesting than just being a Lord. That's not interesting. That's not what makes any deck good, right? No deck is just like, I have all these Lords, like, woo, I win, right? Like, that's not very good. Not very good. So, but of course, it does play well with the Lords because after you can, tap them down end of turn, and it has Island Walk, and with like Spreading Seas or Seas Claim, they'll always have an island, and it gets pumped by your Lords, and it just does everything. This card is awesome. This is exactly what the Merfolk deck needed. Needed a good 1-drop, and it needs cards that can do something other than just Lord effects. Okay. Now we have Unmarked Grave, which is a nerfed Entomb, but Entomb's a pretty silly card in general. So I'm guessing I guess they said Black-White was going to be like a Reanimator kind of thing in the set, so that's interesting. We'll see. But this is interesting because it can get everything, but obviously the non-legendary stipulation is good too, so it's not just like I'm just going to get Gristlebrand every time, which is like, I guess it's boring or whatever. I mean, the Reanimator decks in general tend to be boring. They have very simple play patterns, like play a bunch of discard or something, or just turbo out a Gristlebrand or something, and then play a bunch more discard of your Lotus Petals and Dark Rituals and Unmasks and stuff. But I liked Unmarked Grave. I think this is the right power level for the format. And maybe you get like Light from the Loam, right? That's been a thing I've seen, right? People entombing for that. So that could be interesting. And of course, we have Profane Tutor. This card is sweet. Again, more RKF art. It's just a Suspend Tutor. Again, another cycle. And this card is, well, it's basically Demonic Tutor, but it's got Suspend. So it's sort of like the Time Spiral cycles, right? Where they made all these old iconic alpha cards into actual sort of revamped Suspend spells. So I think this is pretty strong. Comes off on turn 4, and then you can actually play the card you tutor for, which is always the downside I guess you can call it the downside of Demonic Tutor, right? It adds 2 mana to the casting cost. So this should be interesting. Should be interesting. I definitely expect this card to see play somewhere. Pretty strong. Pretty strong. And a couple cards for the last little itty bit. We got Usery, Fortune's Flame. This is just like one of those weird freaks from back in Mirage Block with coin flipping and all this other shit. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. But yeah, this is a good card for Commander, I guess. If you want to play with like Krark's Thumb and stuff. Everyone likes the coin flip stuff. It's kind of neat. I don't know. I mean, there's not much I really want to say about this, but I do like the silliness, the coin flippingness. This can be fun to play with your friends in Commander or something. More coin flipping stuff, can't go wrong. And of course, last and absolutely not least, we have Flame Tongue Yearling. This thing is great. Obvious, extremely obvious reference to Flame Tongue Kavu. This thing, it's like even in the same pose, like you still have the same like color palette and everything from like the original. I mean, it's just like you see just more going on. This is a great card. 2 mana, 2/1, and like it just deals 2 damage. So it's like what was it? A Fire Imp, I think that was from Portal. 3 mana, 2/1 that did the same thing, but this one's more aggressively costed. So curving out this thing is pretty good. Obviously they need to have creatures in play, otherwise it just nukes itself. But yeah, I mean, obviously I wouldn't have it any other way. That's the way the original FTK was. So, and of course, when you have like 4 extra lands, you get a 4/3, or just 2 extra mana, you get a 3/2. So yeah, and of course it scales off its power too. So pretty cool. I like this card. I think it's great. Whereas FTK was like the top end for a lot of stuff back in the day, or like just a sideboard card or whatever. This guy has a little bit of a different role, right? Because it's not going to be as efficient as FTK, taking out like, shoot, what did it kill? Wall of Blossoms, Ravenous Balos, we locks it on Hierarchs, kill a lot of Eternal Witnesses with it. I don't know. Anyways, this card will definitely have a place. I think there's a lot going on here. It's a great mana sink. Like imagine top decking this card on. You have 6 lands out, and you're like, oh boy, I get a pretty nice sized guy, and I kill their guy. That's great. That's great. So I like it. I like it a lot. So a lot going on here. A lot of good stuff. So that's basically it. So thank you guys for stopping by. I'm glad you stuck around for a little bit to look at all these interesting cards with me, and I can't wait for Monday. We can go over even more cards. That'll be wonderful. I can't wait to see all the throwbacks and remakes and reprints and all sorts of stuff. So I'm looking at my list of like Modern Horizon cards I wanted to see in the format that I made like 2 years ago. A bunch of them are getting added to the format, so there you go. It's good stuff. So thanks for stopping by, guys, and have a great day.